Your mic's off.
Thank you. All right, back it up. So again, earlier today, we were solving quadratic equations in what's called standard form. That's where we factored, and then we did the zero product property, and then found our two answers. Now we've got vertex form, where it is in that form y equals a x minus h, only h is 0 in this case, plus your k. And when you're solving, again, it means you have a y value, and you need to solve for the x's. So in this case, example number 1, I have if y is equal to 3, find x, if our parabola, which is in vertex form here, is equal to y equals x squared minus 22. So again, when we're solving, you got two variables, right? You have to know one, or you have to know all of them but one. And so I know the y here, and I can solve for x, because that's what we're doing. And so wherever there's a y here, I'm going to substitute in a 3. So I get 3 equals x squared minus 22. All right, now I want to solve for x. And so I'm going to move this minus 22 over to the other side. And so it becomes a positive 22 equals x squared. All right, again, simplifying, I can put the 3 and the 22 together. I get 25 equals x squared. But again, I want to get x by itself. That's what it means to solve it, get x equals. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the square root of both sides, which I'm sure you've seen before. But there's a catch today. Is that the square root of 25 is not exactly what you thought it was before. You always thought it was 5, which is true. But it's also another number. Because what the square root is asking you is, what number times itself gives you 25? And of course, the answer is 5. 5 times 5 gives you 25. But there's also another answer. And you never had to worry about it before. And that is negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 also gives you 25. And so this 5 here, I'm going to put a plus minus sign, both positive and negative 5. Or I could write that out as x equals 5 and x equals negative 5. So there's our two answers. The reason that you never had to worry about the negative answer before, that you probably never saw before, is in grade 10, the only time that you use the square root of a number and look at it is the Pythagorean theorem, where you're talking about a length, and just like time, you can't have a negative length, or probably the sine law or the cosine law, which again, you're measuring a length, and so you can't have a negative length, so the teacher never taught it to you. All right, so when you take the square root of a number, you get plus or minus. Now, just a little sketch of what this looks like, okay? Again, just a sketch. So I have a parabola here that my steps are 1. So 1, 3, 5, which means 1, 3, and 5. So it's going to be opening up, right? If our steps are negative, it opens down as we did. If it's positive, it opens up. It's not shifted left or right at all, but it is shifted down 22, this graph. So if I was, let's try a different color here. And so let's say right here down there is minus 22. And our parabola, I don't know, goes like this. And so what our answer is or our question is asking here, when we have a height of 3, so I just draw a dotted line in here, when does that parabola hit a height of 3? Well, there is two answers. One of them is right here, where your x value would be negative 5, and there's the other one right there, where your x is equal to positive 5. So that's just kind of a sketch of what it looks like. Is there any questions about that? A little bit something different for you. All right. I go over to example 2. Again, I'm ramping it up here. If y is equal to 11, find x if y equals, and here's the equation of my parabola in vertex form, y equals x minus 3 squared minus 5. So again, I want to solve for x. I'm going to substitute in my y value, which is 11 this time. All right, and that again is equal to x minus 3 squared minus 5. All right, so when I'm getting this x value by itself, I got to get rid of this minus 3, the little 2, and the minus 5. The easiest thing to move right away is the minus 5. I'm just going to move it over to the other side. All right, and so it's going to become a plus 5. And so 11 plus 5 would be 16. There we go. So now I have 16 equals x minus 3 squared. All right, so I got one number gone. Now, I'd love to get this minus 3 over, but I'm trapped in brackets because of that little 2. So I can get rid of that 2 again by taking the square root of both sides. All right, now, if I take the square root of x minus 3 squared, well, it just gets rid of the little 2. So now I just have x minus 3 over on the other side. Now, if I take the square root of 16, again, when you take the square root of a negative or of a number, you get 2 answers, both positive and negative. So the square root of 16 is not just 4, it's plus and minus 4. All right, now I'm still not done. Now that plus or minus sign is on that 4. Now I'm going to move the minus 3 over. All right, so it becomes a positive 3. All right, but again, the plus or minus sign is on the 4. So now I have x is equal to 3 plus 4 and 3 minus 4. So I can figure out my 2 answers. And the 2 answers are this. I just go through 3 plus 4, x is 7. That's one of our answers. The other one is 3 minus 4. That's a negative 1. And there's our 2 answers. Now, what does that look like on a graph? Just to sketch it out a bit. Let's see, I'll get rid of this graph, put a new one in. Well, so let's see here. So I draw a sketch of my parabola. Let's see here. And again, the vertex form, it has a positive a value, which means the steps are positive, which means this thing's opening up. It shifted right 3 and down 5. So right 3, so that's 3, down 5. Again, just a sketch. There's my vertex. This thing is opening up. And here's what our question asked. When our parabola has a height of 11, that's what your y value is, right? It's your vertical motion. If you have a height of 11, which I can say, I don't know, is up here. My graph might be off. When is your parabola at that height? What x values? Well, down here, here's one of them here at 7. X equals 7, I should say. And the other one here, let's see, go down. X equals -1. That's what we're finding out right there. So that's what it looks like on a graph. All right, let's do a few more of those guys. Any questions at all? A lot going on with the old vertex form. I know some of you probably even haven't seen it. That is a possibility. All right, next example. I'm going to try to throw all the different ones at you. Example 3. So we have a parabola that is y equals, vertex form here, -2 x plus 4 squared. All right, plus 92. And this is saying that find x when your y value is -6. There we go. All right, so again, this parabola, the a value is negative. So this one opens down. It's the upside down parabola. It's shifted left 4 and up 96. All right, that's all from when we sketch it. But I want to know, when does this parabola have a height of -6? So I'm going to sub in a -6 for y. All right, now we got a whole lot of work to do here. So to get this x by itself, I got to get rid of all of these numbers here. The easiest one is to get rid of the 96, to move it over. And so I have a -6, subtract 96 equals -2 times x plus 4, and that is squared. All right, and again, I can that's actually a 92. I messed up on my, it's a 92 there. I wrote the note down wrong. There we go. Oh, and now I got marker all over my hand. That's not good. 92. There we go. Wrote it down. There we go. All right. And so math here. I lose 6. I lose 92. I am down 98. I'm just simplifying things here. All right. The next thing to do, I can get rid of this -2. Now it's attached, so I have to divide it off. So I'm going to divide the whole term here by -2. And what I do to one side, I got to do to the other. All right, so those -2's divide each other out. And so all I have on this side now is x plus 4 squared. And a negative divided by a negative is going to give me a positive. And negative 98 divided by -2 is a positive 49. So essentially, we're right back to where we were that last example. All right. And again, I can't get at that positive 4 because this whole bracket is squared. So I can get rid of that square by square rooting both sides. All right. And again, as I said before, you square root a square, you get, well, gets rid of the little 2. Now, again, the square root of 49, not just 7. You get 2 answers. It's going to be plus or minus 7. All right. Still not done yet. Got to get the 4. Now I can move the 4 over nice and freely. But again, the most common mistake I see is either you forget that it's plus or minus, but you got to remember the plus or minus is on the 7. And so I'm bringing the 4 over. It's going to be a -4 plus or minus 7 equals x. All right. And now I can figure out my 2 answers. I just run it through. So I have -4 plus 7. Well, if I lose 4, I get 7 back. I'm up 3. And then I go -4 minus 7, which is equal to -11. Okay, a sketch. What does that look like? Again, I said this parabola opens down because the a value is negative, because our steps would be negative. It's left 4. That's the vertex, but up 92. Okay. Again, just a sketch. So there's my vertex. We'll go like this. And all right. And again, our question is saying, when does this parabola have a y value of -6? In other words, does it have a height of -6? Which I'm going to say is, I don't know, right in here. That's -6 across. Boom, it hits here. You go straight across, it hits here. Well, what's one value? One of them over here would be our x equals 3. And the other one over here, that would be our x equals -11 is when it happens. All right. What else we got here? Try to throw all the different scenarios at you. All right, we'll get to example 4 then. All right, so example 4. Be a little drier. Okay, so we have now example 4 says y is equal to 1. So there's our height of our parabola. Find x if our parabola now is y equals 8 plus, or x plus 8 squared plus 10. All right, so there's our parabola, our a value. There's a secret 1 there. It's positive though, so that means this parabola opens up because of our steps. Left 8 and up 10. That's where the vertex is. Okay. And we want to know, when does this parabola have a height of 1? All right, so wherever there's a y, again, I'm going to substitute in a y. All right, so I'm trying to get x by itself, so I got to get rid of the 8, the little 2, and the 10. Well, again, the 10 is the easiest thing to do, is to move it over. And so I have a 1 minus 10 is equal to my x plus 8 squared. All right, 1 minus 10 is a negative 9. Just simplifying things here. All right, now, I can't move the 8 over, right? Again, it's trapped in the brackets, and there's an exponent there, but I can get rid of the little 2 by square rooting both sides. All right, and so when I square root x plus 8 squared, well, that's just x plus 8. And then I try to square root negative 9. Anybody know what I'm going to get? I square root negative 9. Guess what? I ain't getting nothing. There is no solution. You can't square root a negative number. That can't happen. You can't square root a negative number. So what does that look like on a graph? Again, I sketch my graph. And as I said, this thing opens up. It's shifted left 8. So minus 8, up 10. So I'm going to say that's 10 right there. So there's my vertex. Again, the a value is positive, so this thing goes up. And what the question asks us is, when does our graph, our parabola, have a height of 1? It doesn't. It never does. Never hits that. It starts way higher, and it just keeps going up. So watch out for that. Square root of a negative number. All right, throw another one at you here. Example 5, we have solve. I just plugged it right in here, where the y value is 0 is equal to 3 times x minus 5 squared. All right, so essentially I'm already just telling you the y value is 0, height of 0. All right, so I'm going to try to solve this parabola that, again, the a value is positive, so this parabola opens up. Shifted right 5, and then there's no k value after here, so it doesn't get shifted up or down at all. All right, so let's see. To get x by itself, I got to get rid of the 3, the negative 5, and the little 2. I can get rid of the 3 by dividing both sides by 3. All right, so let's see what we got here. 0 divided by 3. Well, 0 divided by 3, or 0 divided by anything, is just 0. And then I have x minus 5 squared. All right, now we've had this situation before. Again, I can't move that negative 5 over because it's trapped in the brackets, because there's an exponent there. But I can square root both sides. That'll get rid of that little 2. And so over on this side, I have just x minus 5 now. Now, we can't take the square root of a negative number, but we can take the square root of 0. Square root of 0, what number times itself will give you 0? Itself, 0. I could put plus or minus there, but it doesn't mean anything. I take away nothing, I give you nothing, it doesn't matter, it's still 0. So I could put the plus or minus sign there, but it doesn't matter. And now again, to get x by itself, I'm going to bring the negative 5 over to the other side, so it's a positive 5. So again, I'm just writing out all steps. So my answer is 5 plus 0, which is 5, and 5 minus 0, which is 5. I'm getting one answer. Last time here, I had no answers. Now I'm getting one answer. So like I said, in quadratics, most of the time you get 2 answers, but sometimes you can get no answers. Now you get one answer. How's that possible? Well, again, drawing a sketch of my graph. This parabola is shifted. Again, if you look at the original here, it opens up, okay? It's shifted right 5, the vertex, and not up or down at all, any. So right 5, there's my vertex right here. And it opens up. And I want to know when is the vertex at a height of, or sorry, the parabola when it's at a height of 0, which is your y-axis, y equals 0. And the reason this time there's one answer is because there's only one point on a parabola that doesn't have a twin, right? Because the parabola is symmetric. It has a point on one side, it has a twin on the other. The only one that doesn't is the vertex. So this vertex is the point that solves that equation. It's the only one. And there's only one answer again because it's the vertex. All right. One more to go. Example number 6. Little word problem. Gotta have word problems. Make sense of math, not just equations. Okay, so you've got to be reading along here. It's my old kangaroo. Old kangaroo. All right, so the kangaroo, the height of the kangaroo jumping is given by the equation h equals negative 0.5 times x minus 5 squared plus 3. All right, so that's where x is time in seconds and h is height in meters, just like I did before. When is the kangaroo at a height of 1 meter? So again, when we're solving any equation, you got to know them all but one. And so this is telling me that the height of the kangaroo, I'm interested to know when that h value is 1. So just like I did before, I have an equation here in vertex form. I'm going to substitute in a 1 for h. There we go. And so again, I want to solve for x. And so I got to get rid of all these numbers. I got 4 of them to get rid of. As usual, the easiest to get rid of is the 3. We can move it over to the other side. Not really get rid of, but rearrange here. And so I have a 1 minus 3 now over on this side. I still got a negative 0.5 x minus 5 squared. 3's gone. Simplifying here. Well, 1 minus 3 is a minus 2. All right, so that's one number gone. The next one I can get rid of here is the negative 0.5, but it is attached. And so that means I have to divide it off. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 0.5. That gets rid of these negative 0.5s. They divide each other out. And so on this right-hand side here, I have x minus 5 squared. Negative divided by negative, I'm going to get a positive answer. And if I get 2 divided by 0.5, I'm going to get a 4. There we go. All right, things are getting simpler. That's always good in math. When things get more complicated, you're probably going the wrong way. Next up, we got to get rid of little 2. So I am going to square root both sides. All right, and again, when you square root the little exponent 2, that gets rid of it. So I just have an x minus 5 on that one side. All right, and again, the square root of 4, plus or minus 4. You get 2 answers. Because negative 2 times negative 2 will give you 4. All right, and then finally, let's go over here. I'm going to move the negative 5 over to the other side, so it becomes a positive 5. Again, don't forget that the plus or minus sign is on the 2. And let's see here. So I'm going to get 2 answers. First one, 5 plus 2, which is 7. And the second one here, 5 minus 2, which is 3. And so therefore, because it is a word problem, so you need a concluding statement, the kangaroo is at a height of 1 meter, that's what we're looking at here, after, and because both our values are positive, we're talking about time, they're both applicable. So after 3 seconds and 7 seconds. Now, if I look at this equation, see the a value here in front, it's negative. which means our parabola opens down like this. So what that is telling us is that 3 seconds here, that would have been the kangaroo on the way up. The 7 seconds would have been the kangaroo on the way down. Quite a powerful kangaroo to be in the air that long, but it is what it is.